Welcome to Whisky Vibe. This is the place we talk about whiskey, food, and culture in Singapore or Asia. My name is Ryu, your host. Welcome back to Whisky Vibe. Today's episode is going to be a really special one because I have a special guest, Miguel, here. And
Hi, Rio.
hi. Thanks for coming over here.
No worries.
Yeah. Probably you may have seen him if you are in Singapore, and then if you went to the one of the whiskey event in Singapore. Always dress well, and then always bring that the note and pen, and then try the whiskey very detailedly, and then take the note very detailedly. So, yeah, this is your signature suit,
Yep.
and then
I mean,
I am wearing my signature shirt every time I go to the whiskey event. I'm pretty much wearing like this way.
yeah, I mean, that's how people recognize us, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll be like, who are you and who am I?
It's good. It's awesome. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, thanks for coming here. And it was quite a long journey from your place to here.
Yeah, I mean, massive jams on the way today.
Yeah. Miguel Low.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe introduce yourself a bit.
Sure. I
Yeah.
mean, with great pleasure.
Yeah.
I thank you for having me this evening, Rio. So, good evening, Rio, first of all, and good evening to everyone tuning in to the podcast. First and foremost, may I offer my warm thanks to you
Oh,
and
thank
to
you.
all of you for joining us tonight. And thank you for the kind invitation and for hosting such a unique
Awesome.
conversation.
Yeah.
You know, we need more of this, especially in the small ecosphere of our whiskey community here in Singapore. Thanks. I mean, it was a busy day today for sure.
Yeah.
It is
Probably a long day today for you.
yeah, especially long day today
Yeah.
at the zoo.
Yeah.
And as well, you know, it's also one needs to be thankful that one is busy at the start of the year.
Awesome.
So
Yes.
I've been pretty busy this time of year, starting very, very strong in both the nature and animal side of things
see.
and also the whiskey side. And how have you been, mate?
I've been great, yes, and it's a good start this year as well. So yeah, pretty good. And then I have you now. I have a more listeners this podcast, so hopefully I have more. Yeah, after this. Yeah. So speaking of that, your job title actually that you just mentioned about that the zoo and then an animal.
Yeah.
So what do you do exactly? What do you do for a living exactly?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing that the listeners would be a bit interested in saying,
Yeah.
hey, why did he just come from the zoo? I promise you, I was not there to play around with the animals, but it is part of my job as well. So by way of a brief introduction, for those of you who I haven't had the pleasure to meet in person, my name is Miguel. By day, I'm fully immersed in nature, working professionally as a zoologist and wildlife guide, currently at Mandai, which is the zoo complex there, right, with the
Yeah.
5 zoos. However, in the evening, there is something very different about me, you know, like my alter ego,
Yeah.
Batman.
Batman.
So in this case, it's like more like Whiskey Man in the evening. And so I step into a different realm, turning my attention to a long-standing passion of mine, whiskey. And as a devoted appreciator and collector, I am endlessly fascinated by these flavors, the quality, craftsmanship, the endless flavors as well, and stories of how the spirit is so interlaced with the fabric of a culture. The heritage carried within each of these bottles of noble spirit as well.
So you basically study a lot of that each distillery or bottles, and then not only just enjoying that whiskey.
Sorry, could you say that again?
I mean, you really study a lot of that the distillery history of that the whiskey and the history of that the distillery.
Yeah.
Not just enjoying that the whiskey.
Yeah, I think it is a poignant thing to remember that whiskey isn't just a drink.
Yeah.
It is, especially for places like Ireland and Scotland and America, there are a lot of history and heritage and traditions
That's true.
associated with the drink. For example, in Scotland, you can't have a wedding without a quaich, which is a traditional vessel where they fill a bit of whiskey, and the bride and groom would drink from it to commemorate their marriage. But traditionally, the quaich was used as a peace offering between two native clans that were fighting.
Okay,
so the reason why they hold it together, the quaich has two handles that both parties have to hold together and drink together. So it's also a peace offering that maybe not many of the viewers might have known before.
Wow, this is totally new for me. Yeah, man. As you mentioned that, like a Batman or something other. So it's the daytime, and that you work as your profession. I mean, pursuing that your profession, and then in another life you are literally pursuing that another passion, which is the whiskey.
Yeah.
Then how did you started this journey?
Yeah.
I mean, what is the turning point of that story?
I mean, as of right now,
Yeah.
just to give some context as to what I do, besides just enjoying it as a first and foremost a whiskey enthusiast, which I think a lot of you guys are as well. The passion for whiskey has led me to establishing Whiskey Wilderness, which is my blog page on Instagram, and also where I put my independent writing and production of original whiskey content as well. And it is a personal passion project that acts in a transparent and honest avenue where I can share whiskey profiles, whilst also offering classes on whiskey appreciation, etiquette, and also it is aimed to create a holistic whiskey experience for someone who is very experienced, maybe in the whiskey world, or someone who is new and trying to gain an insight into what's happening with the drinks market now. So my aim in Whiskey Wilderness is always to present whiskey as approachable, but yet in a respectful manner as well, and offering a youthful perspective while honoring the traditions of this timeless spirit. And so over the past 9 years, as you're wondering how did I even get here, it's been 9 years of my whiskey journey. Now, maybe some of you have seen me and say, oh, this guy looks pretty young. I was very lucky to start young. As soon as I turned 18 until now,
it just right away at the legal age.
Right at the legal age, at the precipice of he's not legal to legal. That's when I started my pursuit of whiskey. So I've had the privilege of learning directly from a lot of these industry professionals across some of Singapore's most esteemed whiskey bars and private clubs. And I have to thank these people because gaining invaluable hands-on experience has profoundly shaped the way that I approach whiskey and also deepen my understanding of whiskey. Now, this journey, whiskey journey, also encompasses my academic journey. So, as I mentioned, I'm a zoologist, but also I went to Tasmania, which is the most southern island of Australia. So it's just little heart shape at the bottom of the world, and anything further down is already Antarctica, where all the penguins live. Now, maybe the penguins will be impressed with my suits. I have no idea. But
maybe,
in this case, I didn't want to go that far south and end up in a cold, freezing continent. So I ended up in Tasmania.
I see.
And in Tasmania, I devoted much of my free time to visiting the distilleries there, which are very, very famous nowadays with New World whiskey manufacturing, and also working along whiskey distilleries, such as quite a famous distillery called Sullivan's Cove.
Wow.
So this allowed me, this allowed me to have a deeper appreciation of the craft on site. It's very rare that you have the opportunity to enjoy whiskey and also see the process of how they make it.
Oh, so it's not you're just visiting, but you just work there for a certain timing.
I worked there as a cashier.
Oh.
And so as a student, that was definitely a part-time gig. But working as a cashier not only means I meet many different types of customers who are coming all the way to Tasmania to visit Sullivan's Cove itself, or customers that are just curious to know what whiskey culture there is in a new place like the Australian continent. So it is very interesting as a cashier to be able to meet these people. Of course, I don't think Sullivan's Cove would trust me with manufacturing the whiskey. In fact, maybe if they did, I don't know how well the whiskey would have been. Maybe Tasmania went from top whiskey, New World whiskey production area to one of the worst, thanks to Miguel.
And back then, it was a bit. I think the Sullivan's Cove wasn't that popular, and it wasn't really well-known name.
Yes.
Distillery though.
I mean, little do people know that actually the Australian whiskey industry is quite a new industry. It started in 1994 when the godfather of Australian whiskey, a Tasmanian native named Bill Lark and his wife named Lynn Lark, they started the Lark Distillery in 1997, which was the first distillery established since their prohibition, which is 100+ year prohibition. So it's quite amazing that all it took was two people to change this law, and suddenly you had an explosion from this catalyst of the Lark Distillery opening, Lark Coal Distilling. And from there, you had Sullivan's Cove that opened, followed by Helliers Road and Oakhampton Distillery. And nowadays in Tasmania, because of the whiskey industry, there is a lot more new distilleries. A lot of distilleries producing gin and vodka. Now you might ask me, why on this whiskey channel are we talking about gin and vodka? Oh, sacrilegious. But little do people realize that many of these distilleries need to earn an income to start up the distillery. And so with whiskey being an aged product, in Scotland there's a law, 3 years to produce a spirit aged and matured in an oak cask to be considered whiskey. And so for Tasmania's law on whiskey, they follow the Scots.
Exactly, same.
So if they were to wait 3 years for their product to be produced and they don't produce anything else, you will not get a working distillery, you get a closed-off distillery.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a business is the business. And then I totally understand. And it's totally cool. And then I like that the product that they release, like some distillery they brew that the beers, and some distillery they brew that produce that the gin. Actually, it's I think it's the same. Anyways, we are enjoying that the whiskey, but not just the whiskey. We are enjoying that the spirit. So it's totally cool talking about this.
I mean, without their generosity, the patience, the warmth in sharing the years of passion and knowledge, including granting me access to very rare opportunities to try some of these exceptional whiskeys, which would honestly be unattainable for someone of my age and someone of my income bracket. I think as you realize, whiskey itself is actually a pretty expensive hobby to get into. However, I think without the help and support of the industry professionals in Singapore, the bars, friends in this industry and friends in Tasmania, I wouldn't be where I am today speaking with you and talking so fervently about whiskey.
Nice.
And so to that, guys, I raise a glass to you all for the industry and those that have been supporting me. So with that, we say Slanjava to your good health and a good new year.
Yep. Slanjava.
Slanjava.
Speaking of that, basically what we are having is what we are poured. Could you explain what is this?
So Rio has so nicely and generously offered a very, very special dram of whiskey. In fact, a dram that I have not tried just yet. So it's got a beautiful nose. It is a distillery from Isla.
Yep.
Actually, one of these distilleries that closed down and reopened to become even more popular than it was before.
Awesome.
Called Bruichladdich.
I love it. Since from the last year, I think exceptionally, I really enjoyed this Bruichladdich 18. So we are having the Bruichladdich 18 released, I think, 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So I'm still having the beautiful bottle.
Yeah. So I think that's a very appropriate glass to raise to these industry professionals, right?
Yep.
Without them, no whiskey for us to enjoy tonight.
No way.
Thank
Yep.
you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, beautiful. Nice oily feel coating the
Super
mouth.
oily. I really like that the barley notes and then their terroir. How to say pronounce
Yeah, that's
properly.
correct.
Yeah, so it's really beautiful. And then on top of that, a lot of the fruity notes is really beautiful whiskey.
And because of this extended maturation for 18 years, 18 years. Now I'm 26, so 18 years, 8 years younger than me, but 18 years is when most men in Singapore go to national service.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty interesting. And when you
Yeah.
put that in a human lifespan, you reflect on that and you
Yeah.
can actually taste it in this whiskey.
Yeah.
There's mature notes behind there. That's when you get the pineapple notes that start to develop. Now, I had the opportunity of speaking to Billy Walker, the man of sherry,
Yep.
the sherry
of the
master,
sherry,
he's known
yes.
as that. One of the few whiskey, most revered whiskey industry people. Now, he told me that whiskeys aged above 20 years old start to develop these notes. But it looks like Bruichladdich is 18-year-old is starting to show some of these prominent signs
Oh.
of tropical notes.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really big complimentary.
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
I mean,
for this,
what he says is that usually whiskeys
yeah,
of 20 years aged and above will start to do this.
yeah.
And what I'm tasting right now is that.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
that's what you feel.
Yeah.
Based on, okay.
based on what he has said. Sorry.
I thought Billy Walker said Bruichladdich or something. No.
Well, who knows? Perhaps he can't say that on camera, but maybe behind the scenes he's giving them a pat well
yeah.
done.
Well, yeah, possible.
Which he should. I
Yeah.
think that Bruichladdich is producing very,
Yeah.
very good stuff.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I love their transparency. I like the fact that they bottle at higher ABVs. They're giving whiskey for people who love to have a good dram.
Yeah.
Not just a dram that has a big name attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
So
awesome.
I mean, yeah, thanks to everyone. And I think that these whiskeys are appropriate to thank the industry for the support that they have given, perhaps me and
Yeah.
you as well.
Yeah,
But
absolutely agree.
I mean, as well as that, they inspired me. These people in the industry inspired me to pursue professional accreditation for whiskey. So, I mean, there's a very small pin on the side over here, which is the Whiskey Ambassador
Yeah.
pin, which is a program that allows you to get accreditation. You might ask me, why get this pin? Well, for one, Skills Future help to offset a large cost. But at the same time, unfortunately, in Singapore, there has to be an accreditation for everything. So whilst I'm very, very sure that there are a lot of very, very knowledgeable whiskey enthusiasts out there, or even some whiskey geeks, the fact is that in Singapore, if you want to work in the industry and you want to work with corporate clients, they want to see a certificate. So this is why I pursued the Whiskey Ambassador program. But I mean, today, what I do is I continue to cover events for media and work freelance as a whiskey ambassador, most recently for this independent bottler and cask investment firm called Decant Index.
Decant Index.
Yeah. So they are well established in the UK, but
Okay.
in Singapore, they're trying to break
Yeah.
foot here, opening an office here, which is very, very
Oh.
exciting. Yeah. I mean, the things about this is that I met the regional manager here at Whisky Life. So the whiskey industry is very, very small. You never know who you're going to bump into. It's like how I bumped into you, right?
Yep.
we met at an event as
Yeah.
well. And so, like, that being said, I think the most important thing in whiskey is not just whiskey as a drink. Whiskey is very holistic. It involves people to make the drink, people to grow the barley, but most importantly, people to enjoy at the end of
Enjoy
it.
them, yes.
And so it is a pleasure to be here this evening in your good company, sir. And I
Thank
really
you.
look forward
Yeah.
to this conversation that we're going to
I feel like
partake
yeah,
in.
Yeah, I feel like you really prepared so long and that something. There's a lot of things you want to talk. That there's insight, and then now you are taking out and then throwing out to the to me and then the audience is awesome. Yes.
I mean, look, mate. If I didn't script this out, we'll probably be here until tomorrow and maybe the day after, because when it comes to whiskey, I do tend to trill and keep talking about it. You must understand that it's like 9 years of passion for this product that I've been geeking out on it since 18. It's just becoming worse. I think a lot of you guys can sympathize with me or empathize with me that when you really get into your whiskey, you just go down a rabbit hole. You keep trying to learn more and more and more.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay, Miguel, tell me about that. Okay, so since from the 18 legal year, guys.
Yes, legal.
Just in case.
Big statement out there. Legal 18-year-old.
18-year-old.
Yeah.
Because the Korea, I think legal age is like a 20 or 19. Yeah, something like that. Well, anyways, yeah. So 18. So what was the first whiskey you tried it?
Ooh.
Do you remember?
Like the first whiskey I tried. Okay, so it was a journey to get to this point. If you would like to hear about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It is very, very funny. Okay, I never envisioned myself drinking whiskey.
Well,
I can't believe that.
We all do.
Right? I can't believe that I'm saying that, but
I never knew I will end up here doing the podcast for the whiskey. When I was in Korea, definitely it was only about the soju and the makgeolli, the Korean drinks. But after coming here, it's like a new world opens.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's funny because I come from a family that doesn't drink at all.
Oh.
So today, I'm actually the only member of my family who does drink regularly or even socially. So what do I mean by that? It means that my earliest memories when it comes to drinking or alcohol is usually during a very, very special festive season or celebratory event. Events like Christmas
or
Chinese New Year, right?
Yeah.
Which is happening very soon. And also New Year's. So usually as a small kid, I would kindly try to sneak a smell or sneak a taste.
Yeah.
I think even though maybe it's not legal, it is kind of going to happen.
Yes, it happened. Yeah.
So my earliest memories involving alcohol was that, some of my relatives would give me a little tipple. And I remember genuinely enjoying these flavors. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm so cool trying alcohol.
Really?
It was really like, oh, I really taste these notes coming out from it. Now, these drinks are usually not high alcoholic content spirits and hard liquors like whiskey, rums, or vodkas. These are milder things, fermented beverages like beer, champagne, and wine. So from that, I generally remember this fervent love for the flavor. Unfortunately, I'm too young to drink. So my parents would jokingly say when they caught me, he's either going to be a sommelier one day or he's either going to be a drunk. So
nope. I mean, good and bad.
I think both are bad.
Sommelier is a professional, but drunk is literally.
Yeah, I mean, but if you talk to a very professional sommelier, they'll tell you that they're just professional drunks.
I didn't say that.
Yeah. But so now we talk about legality, right?
Yeah.
When I eventually reach Singapore's legal drinking age of 18. Thank goodness it's 18 and not 21 like in the US.
Yeah.
My father actually introduced me to my first beer and wine officially. So that's when...
that's cool. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So that's when I really developed a love for beers, red wines, particularly full-bodied styles like for beers, stouts and porters. So to today, if I can't find a whiskey, my default is a lovely pint of properly poured Guinness.
Guinness. Ah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As well as, expressive reds. Things like I want full-bodied flavors, so things from Cabernet Sauvignon and all the way up to Malbecs. And so, unfortunately, like many people of Asian descent, in particular East Asian descent, like you and I, I'm actually genetically predisposed to a deficiency in this enzyme called aldehyde dehydrogenase.
What?
Okay, so I'm going a little bit scientific, but
Yeah.
basically, much of the East Asian population is
Yeah.
unable to break down ethanol completely,
Oh, yeah.
which is
yeah.
the product that most whiskeys are between 40 to 50% alcohol, which is ethanol.
Yeah.
So ethanol is actually a digestible enzyme for us humans. Of course, there are a lot of other alcohols like methanol, but for those who know, methanol is what causes you to
can't-
go blind and
Yes.
it's a poison.
Yeah. It's poisonous.
But I guess SpaceX
Liquor.
loves methanol because methanol is also used as a proponent of space fuel, so rocket fuel.
Oh.
Yeah. So for us, right, unfortunately, most of our East Asian population, we have a deficiency in aldehyde dehydrogenase, also known as ALDH2 enzyme. So, which leads to a condition, a temporary condition, I should say, called flushing syndrome, also known as Asian flush.
Oh, yes.
So that's when we go red.
Red,
Red
yes.
as a lobster, some people like to say.
Yeah. Never heard about that. But
No?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's quite funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is caused actually by a rapid buildup of acetaldehyde, which is actually quite toxic to the body. And it results from very uncomfortable symptoms. I think perhaps when you have drank too much, you feel it too.
Yep.
Very, very
absolutely.
hot, itchy rashes,
Yes, rashes.
and not very comfortable feeling. So while I really enjoy drinking my wines and beers, it is often a decision based on whether it is worth drinking a pint for the 1 hour afterwards of having a rash. So at some point it came rather randomly, honestly. Like I was sitting down one day over a pint of Saint Miguel because my friend had gifted that to me for my 18th birthday. And I thought, wait a moment, my name is Miguel.
Yes.
That's a Spanish name. I really have not explored much spirits. What kind of spirits come from a Spanish-speaking country? And for some reason, that question triggered a childhood memory for me, a memory from the Discovery Channel. And they used to have a program there called How It's Made.
Oh,
So
yeah, I know that.
You know
one.
that
yeah,
one?
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff. Yes, yeah.
So it was quite interesting to
Yeah.
see the process of things
Yeah.
being made, but something in particular drew my attention, and that was the production of tequila.
Oh.
And so the production actually showed how they were making Patron tequila, one drink that I guess a lot of you will be familiar with in the bar scene and in the party scene. But back then, that was my idea of what tequila was, Patron. And so I vividly remember being very fascinated by this massive granite tahona that was grinding up the Weber blue agave fibers and extracting this nectar that was brought through fermentation, distillation, and eventually put into casks for some expressions. Now, that memory stuck with me, and I ended up asking my godmother. So she really is a godsend. She really deserves the name godmother because she helped me purchase a Patron tasting set from duty free.
Wow.
Back when Singapore was still DFS
Yeah,
instead
yeah,
of
yeah.
Lotte. Now, I think a lot of you might agree with me that we do miss the old DFS. We do like Lotte as well, but old DFS
I don't. As a Korean, I don't.
You don't? Okay.
I mean, go. Just kidding. Yeah.
I think the old DFS had a lot more choices as well. And so what happened was she actually helped me buy this tasting set of 3 50 ml bottles. And inside it came with a Silver Blanco,
Oh.
a Reposado, and an Añejo expression.
Okay.
So for those who don't know what these three expression type means, basically Blanco is a clear spirit, Reposado is what we call like a finishing whiskey, a few months in a cask, usually an oak cask, and then the last one is Añejo, which is matured in an oak cask for extended years, or extended period of time.
So it's basically clear. I mean that the non-maturation, and then the just finish, and then literally last one is that we can say that they maturated the spirit.
Yeah, matured spirit. Yeah, in cask. So I remembered as I was tasting this, I found the anejo expression, which is the one that has actually been matured in a cask for a few years, to have the most character with the soft vanillas, gentle oak notes, and something like a toasted marshmallow note almost. And something later that I learned from this and reading up about tequila is that anejo is matured in oak cask and usually ex-bourbon cask from across the border in the US. So as a result, I began to do research on what spirits were aged in oak casks, and that led me to cognac, which is a type of brandy, and rum. And at the same time, I had a significant epiphany as I was drinking the tequila. By consuming the spirits in actually a smaller quantity, I could actually enjoy the flavors without experiencing the discomfort and uncomfortable effects of the Asian flush.
That's actually quite fascinating, and that I never met the person who has no, Asian people has no Asian flush.
Much. It's about, in East Asians, Asian flush, only about 5 to 15% estimated have the full enzyme production that is able to break it down properly. But the rest of us don't.
Something across in my mind, and that your name is Miguel, and you just mentioned that it's Spanish. You're something Spanish heritage in your family root.
So it's interesting. I tell this story over and over again, how I got my name Miguel.
Okay.
So it all happened because when my parents wanted to have a child, they traveled through France. And in France, in a region called Brittany, which is very famous for a spirit type called Calvados, which is apple brandy.
Yeah.
Now, they were not drinkers, so they didn't go and pray to the Calvados gods. They went to Mont Saint-Michel, which is a very, very famous site in Brittany. It's known as the Floating Cathedral. So there's a lot of photos and wallpapers that people have on the computer screens, not knowing that this place actually exists. So Mont Saint-Michel is actually based on an intertidal island. And the cathedral was built by monks long, long ago in the center. And so my parents went there. They prayed for a child. And pop, I came out just like a whiskey cork. And so, in a way, right, Mont Saint-Michel is Michel's cathedral. Now, if in Belgium and in Europe, it's accepted as a very masculine name. Now, if I had a name like Michelle and I entered the army, I think most people would be like, who's Michelle? Who's Michelle? Is it a girl? So, because of this, my grandfather, with incredible foresight, he said to them, you cannot name him Michelle. You need to think of a different name. And so because my granddad has a love for Spain, he traveled through Spain. My granddad's actually of Cantonese descent, but he actually lived his whole life in Belgium.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So beer making place. Maybe that's where I got my roots. I have no idea.
Why not?
Perhaps. But he thought of the idea of calling me Miguel. And so from there, Michelle became Miguel because apparently Michael is too common. So Miguel is a rarity here in Singapore. I have not met another Miguel except maybe a Filipino guy named Miguel. Because for the most part, Miguel is associated with the Latin countries or places that have been colonized by the Spanish. Or
Portuguese.
So for my name, there's no connection directly to Spain. It's really
that's why
the story of the cathedral.
Yes, that's why I just when I heard your name first, actually I thought it's like your written name, or the writer's name or something like that. So
I mean, the number of times people ask, "Is this your real name?" I say, I swear, it is my real name. I swear on a whiskey bottle, it's my real name. So I mean, I think that is really, really cool. And jumping back to what we were talking about, Asian flush. I may be Miguel with a Spanish name, but I don't have the Spanish genetics for drinking. So unfortunately, I'm stuck with this Asian flush, and I wanted to prove that it was indeed true that this Asian flush was caused not just by the alcohol, but maybe something else. So being science nerdy, my friend and I came up with this experiment when we were 18. So very, very simple experiment. right? We sacrificed ourselves as the lab rats.
Yep.
You know, a big sacrifice to drink, right? So I basically went into my parents' cupboard. They have open stock of leftover bottles, which had, you know, remnant spirits inside, and they were gifts from friends.
Yeah.
So this collection of bottles would sit in the cupboard for years.
Yeah.
Basically, don't drink it, and the quality is either really bad or really good. We don't know. So it's like Schrodinger's cats of drinks. It's either very good or really bad, and so we don't know what's going to be there. But anyways, we decided to do this experiment.
Yeah.
Our control was a glass of mineral water, and we set the experiment with parameters of 30-minute intervals, and ensured that the amount of alcoholic beverage poured equated to half a standard measure of alcohol. So that's to make everything the same. So what happened is that we had 3 fermented alcoholic beverages, that being beer, red wine, and sake. And we had 3 distilled spirits, tequila, cognac, which is a brandy, and rum.
Very ready. Yeah.
So we wanted to see, is it really distilled spirits that we don't have a reaction to, or is it the fermented spirits? And what we discovered through this very long trial and error, now doing it 6 times means we have to wait 3 hours. So we came to the conclusion that actually it was a type of drink that we're drinking. So fermented beverages, we got a flush, and actually from the distilled spirits we didn't get the reaction.
Yes, I exactly feel the same thing, because I used to love beers. I used to be a really heavy beer drinker, even when I was in Korea, even when I came to Singapore. Korea, chicken and beer. And for me personally, pizza and beer, the best combination for me. And even Chinese food and beer is fantastic. But beer makes me so full, and makes me quite drunk quickly. I don't know, because of their fermentation. The brewery system or something, or because I feel so full. But that's why I start to stop drinking beer, and then I slowly moved to the wine. But wine also something I didn't really enjoy it. I enjoyed it some moment, but not exactly when I sip it, the whiskey. Actually, I could drink quite a lot.
That's the dangerous also, right?
It's dangerous. Yeah.
So like right on point, something that you noticed,
yes,
but something that we experimented with and we realized is that we also came to another finding and conclusion that carbonated alcoholic beverages does increase the speed of flushing. So if you ever noticed before an event, what is one of the most popular cocktails that they give you in a Singapore whiskey scene?
Highball?
Yeah, the Japanese highball.
Yeah.
Now, whilst the Japanese highball is a very refreshing drink containing a lot of water, because it's usually 80% water and 20% whiskey, and then they put a lemon on top so that they hide the taste a bit for those that don't like it.
Usually they use that the 40% ABV.
Something very low.
Yeah, low
so
ABV.
If you think about it, by the time they dilute it, it's actually about the same alcohol content than a beer, but
without the soda.
The soda, when you drink whiskey, you don't get this flush. But when I give you highball, some people feel the flush effect, or they feel drunk or tipsy very, very fast. And so carbonation, and you put carbonated water or soda water into your drinks, they actually make the drink hit harder. So this is one of those things that people say don't mix drinks, because imagine you're drinking a beer which is carbonated, and then suddenly you mix it with a hard liquor. So your body's absorbing a lot more alcohol through the epithelial lining. So the lining that lines the stomach is a very, very thin lining, where the blood and lining barrier is very, very thin. So ethanol can actually pass through and be absorbed by the stomach lining much faster. So this is something that we found out. And the other thing we also came to a conclusion about is that we postulated the sulfites in wine are likely cause for itch, and rather than just a flushing reaction. So even you drink beer will contain sulfites as well. It's a production of a byproduct of fermentation. Very trace amounts, but it will still
It's still there.
still there. So I think that is also a likely reason. So when they say distilled beverages are clean, I think what they mean is that it strips off the sulfites, or majority of sulfites are not coming through the distillation process, and you're actually getting a much cleaner product without a lot of the products of fermentation that you don't want. Yeah.
This is so fun because I'm quite these days into that science and then those the physics or whatever chemical things is. So this is really fun. Oh my god! And then it's literally connecting to my real life and experience. You and your friend, since from the 18 and then you started experimental. I mean,
Yeah.
so you are pretty much the science geek, and that is related to your job as well.
I mean, this science experiment was so simple. To be
I mean,
honest,
yes.
it's based on scientific principle. You know, we do repeat experiments to make sure, and that it's conclusive.
Yeah.
And yeah, it happened. I mean, we of course, as silly science people, we also use this science methodology and a lot of other things. Now, I wouldn't recommend this, guys. You know, we always tell drink better, drink lesser.
Yes.
But
drink
when I was
responsibly.
younger, we had this thing where we wanted to see how drunk we could get before we didn't have fun. So we even had a bell curve of amount of alcohol in our system to how much fun we were having.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't do this experiment, guys. The answer to it is that you reach a point of very happy, and after that you'll be very sad.
No.
So don't get there.
Yeah. But it's good to know your limitation. Then
For sure.
you control that is the good. And then you know that the point, then you stop that. As long as you control, then it's cool.
And always in
Yes.
good company and with trusted
Yes.
friends and maybe
Yes.
family around. Because I cannot tell you guys, the risk is not just alcohol, there's other risks as well. Especially, you know, when you lose your balance, you fall down. Physical injuries can happen from alcohol.
Yeah.
So caution, you know, we both are saying this with fervor and repeatedly: drink lesser, but drink better.
I agree. That's why we have a lot of the collection. I mean, there's not bad. There's no bad whiskey. I mean, there is, but pretty much that the whiskey we enjoy, and then we pay for that, the quality.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's why I don't shame. I don't drink soju as a Korean, but I drink good quality whiskey. Yeah.
So, I mean, from this experimenting and tasting is also how I found out about other spirits. Because, you know, one doesn't just naturally go, I like whiskey.
Yeah.
There must be a story to it, and there must be a reason why we enjoy whiskey. And so, for this experiment, I didn't have whiskey on hand. So what did I have to compare? I had, you know, rum, cognac, and what's my last one? And I believe, was it vodka? Yeah, it was vodka. So tequila. Sorry, tequila.
Tequila.
Sorry, tequila fans. So it was tequila.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it didn't have whiskey on hand. So what I came to the conclusion is I really dislike rum. Oh my gosh, rum was the worst. Wait. I'm going to put this big disclaimer out there.
There's a really big community of
I know,
rum.
but I'm going to put this big disclaimer out there. Hear me out, rum runners
lovers.
and rum lovers. Because, as I mentioned, this was the Schrodinger's cat of collection cabinets. Basically, the rum didn't go very well. And so the rums I had to compare to actually marred my experience about rum. But I'm very glad to say that today, I'm a very big fan of rum.
Oh, really?
Especially the high ester Jamaican style rums like your Hampdens, your Long Ponds. Oh my god, I can't get enough of it.
Really?
Yes.
I still don't really... I can't really enjoy the rum yet. I have to say yet. Because for me, it's way too sweet. And way too, how to say it, thick and then sweet. So I think it's a bit... I have a little bit of that hesitation.
Looks like you got to try more stuff.
I know. I mean, I tried a bit of the good stuff. I mean, Whiskey Library, we were there, and then there was some good stuff there, and then even some other master classes, Four Squares, and then it was good too. But I think, I still want to stick to my love whiskey. But who knows? My next journey will be rum and then or tequila or whatever.
Yeah, don't go there, man.
I mean,
It's
yes,
another
yeah.
deep rabbit hole. of
Rabbit
stuff.
hole. Yeah, exactly. But I am these days speaking of that, into gin now. That is oh my God, another rabbit hole.
Well, I mean, going to deviate a little
Yeah.
bit and talk about what you said. Have you realized that, spirits themselves, even though they started off from a country of origin, such
Yeah.
as Scotland, actually transcended the Scots.
Oh.
It went all over the world
Yes.
with colonization. And I think perhaps maybe for a lot of Singaporeans, we may have had that taste, maybe an ancestral taste for whiskey and gins because it came with our British colonizer buddies, And so I think, the thing with gin and whiskey is that a lot of entrepreneurship from the Scots and the British people brought whiskey to the Far East and into Singapore. Now, a lot of people might say, that whiskey is quite a hot drink,
Yeah.
especially for a tropical environment like here. And, Miguel, you're still wearing a suit in this hot climate,
Yeah.
drinking whiskey. Aren't you going to, drop because of heat stroke? But the reality is, I think that different locations in the world, we find a way to drink whiskeys, or we
Yes.
find our
Way
way of doing it. So here, highball cocktails are popular. Whiskey spritzers are popular as well. And especially for gin, like you said, gin and tonic.
Gin and tonic is the classic.
Yeah, because for the tropics, like in Singapore, where we used to have malaria, and up in the Malayan Peninsula, back when the British just called this whole area Malaya, there was a lot of issues with malaria plaguing the troops, the military. So quinine was given out as an anti-malarial. Hence why one of the earliest gin cocktails we get is a gin and tonic, built out of necessity, because the British officers couldn't stand the taste of the Indian tonic, which comes from a quinine tree. So quinine grows, for those of you who don't know, in India. And its bark contains the active component, quinine, which actually inhibits malarial growth in the body.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a history.
Yeah, there's a lot of histories to drinks.
Wow. It's so fun, man.
Yeah.
I mean, your curiosity actually that made you dig into the history and the story behind the drinks. So, I mean, then is it your kind of yes, is your second, how to say, can I say the second profession, or your doing this is so you just doing your free time just to read through or research. How do you spend your time for that?
So yeah, it's not that I'm a very free person in my life.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely not. But I think that as a scientist, we look at knowledge as as a never-ending pursuit. So when I've been interested in a subject, whether it is whiskey, or even before I could drink whiskey, it was tea, I would just read as much as I can about it.
Wow.
And memorize and understand it. And I think it is very it makes things more beautiful when you understand the history or the story and association of how things came to be. And so it's not just whiskey, but with everything that I am trying to learn more about is something that I would read into. But for sure, I mean, today, if it wasn't for whiskey, I wouldn't be on this podcast. And for my other great love besides whiskey is definitely animals. Animals, plants, and rocks. So I went to Tasmania and I did a double degree in zoology and botany, and I minored in geology. And because a lot of these spirits are all proponents of an agricultural product. So for different locations in the world, different things. Rum is made from sugarcane because that's what grows there. Whiskey is made from barley. And other grains because it's what grows well in Scotland and that type of climate. And grapes in France and Chile is because the climate suits that type of crop. And so spirits have what we call place, not just terroir, but place, where their produce is because of the agricultural or botanical specimens that can grow there. So this is something I found very, very interesting, like that things like that can spread through globalization, colonization, eventually reaching Singapore, which is
not only Singapore,
so
everywhere.
which is so multicultural.
Yeah.
So we get to enjoy the fruits of all these cultures and all these labors.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, from that, basically, I figured out that reading up and tasting, I really enjoyed cognac.
Oh.
And brandy. Now I say cognac with my pinky up because I think a lot of people think that drinking cognac is it's associated with a more avant-garde drinker, someone of a higher echelon of society, because historically that was what it is.
Yes.
And brandy was made as a way of preserving wine that was going to go bad. So they created eau de vie, which is also the name the water of life, but eau de vie is French.
Oh.
So eau de vie, aquavite, ushkaba, whiskey.
Yep.
Same name for the same distillate.
Basically the same meaning, and then it's pretty much the same origin of the wording.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
From Latin.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, please don't judge me when I say I enjoy cognac, because I think a lot of people do, especially for a younger person who is about to enlist in national service or the military. So, look, I enjoyed my cognac, but I didn't want people to think of me as someone who wanted to be different, who wanted to stand out of the crowd, be pretentious about it, and associate it with like a very old man's drink. So I looked around and I thought, people drink beer. What is distilled beer? Distilled beer is whiskey. And the army also traditionally drank a lot of whiskey. The army, yeah.
Really?
I mean, the army letter, when you're calling on the radio, is whiskey for W. So...
What?
Yeah. So anyway, this is how I like to tell the story.
Okay. I have a lot of the new information tonight. It's it's so fun. I don't know how to digest this tonight.
So I just thought that it'll be more accepted with a younger demographic of drinkers. While people are drinking their beers, I could be drinking my whiskey. No problem, right?
Yep.
No problemo. So it was through that I decided I'm going to try my hand in whiskey, or try to taste whiskey for the first time. Now, a lot of you guys have the pleasure and the fortune of having parents that will introduce you to a whiskey or cognac or things like that. But for myself, my parents don't drink, so my granddad doesn't drink. So I had to figure things out myself. And so back then, with my super limited knowledge of whiskeys, I thought I knew a lot, but actually I didn't. I only knew of brands like Jack Daniels.
Oh, well, that's how we started.
Yeah, and Johnny Walker, because they are one of the most extensively marketed whiskeys in the world.
And then maybe Royal Salute, maybe not.
Yeah, that time I didn't hear about Royal Salute.
Okay.
So maybe I was a very... maybe just thinking of these two brands. Why? Because Jack Daniels on chocolate boxes for chocolates mixed with Jack Daniels, or Jack and Coke, or for a lot of our F1 events, Johnny Walker was the sponsor. So you see the sponsorship, or Singapore Airlines and Johnny Walker. So in a way, this idea of whiskey to me was Jack Daniels and Johnny Walker. Now, why Jack Daniels over Johnny Walker as my first introduction to whiskey? Now, admittedly, I was quite a cheeky fella as a young kid, quite hyper. And so when I was much younger, as a curious 9-year-old, now my parents don't know this. I secretly opened up my father's bedside table drawer, and inside I found a 50 ml bottle of Johnny Walker Black Label, aged 12 years. And I decided to sneak a little finger-sized drop of this Johnny Walker and stuck it in my mouth. Now, do you want to know what the reaction was?
I mean, it was you are 9-year-old, so it's not definitely damn good, but what was that?
So unlike my love for wine and champagne and beer, that little tasting, this thing scared me.
Oh.
Okay, all I remembered was this burning sensation like liquid fire, followed by a horrible ashy, smoky flavor, which we now know as peat.
Peat.
Which made me run to the bathroom, rinse my mouth out with water.
Oh, wow.
And even after doing that, I still couldn't get rid of this ashy taste.
You were, pretty much the 9-year-old, definitely.
Yeah. And so because of this, my first memory of Johnny Walker was rather, it was rather terrifying and traumatic. And so I was rather hesitant to purchase a Scotch as my first foray into whiskey.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
To a 9-year-old boy trying.
Yeah. So traumatic experience. So what do you do as someone who has access to the internet? Well, you read online forums. So I thought reading online forums would give me a better base of understanding of what I'm going to endeavor into. And so a lot of them suggested, a bourbon, an American-style whiskey, which has a sweeter vanilla, caramel, toasty oak notes. Now, I heard marshmallow, and I was like, oh, marshmallow? That sounds delicious. And so I went into this foray with a Tennessee whiskey. Now, a lot of people call Jack Daniel's a bourbon. Technically,
it's not bourbon. Actually.
It's not bourbon because it has a special charcoal maturation process which differentiates it from the rest of the market. But in all other aspects, basically, Jack Daniel's is a bourbon, besides the charcoal mellowing aspect.
That's why it's called just a Tennessee whiskey.
Yeah. It's just, depending on who you ask, the Tennessee whiskey manufacturers say, this is our special whiskey, but a lot of the bourbon industry will tell you, nah, they just wanted something special to differentiate themselves so that they could have a special type of whiskey. But now I digress. So from there, I asked my godmother to, again, help me through her travels to get a bottle of Gentleman Jack. Since it was touted to be smoother, more mellowed, and refined than the original Old Number 7. So she got me a 200 ml bottle of Gentleman Jack. And when I first tried it, honestly, it took me a while to accept that these notes of artificial banana, the runs candy, the turpentine nail polish, I was like, oh, what did I just get myself into? But maybe after the second and third dram, it started to grow on me, and I really started to sip and savor it. Now, a lot of people say, wow, you're sipping and savoring a Jack Daniel's. And to that, I say, why not? Everyone has a whiskey that they like, and they get to drink it the way they want to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
So now, I felt that the Gentleman Jack was good.
Okay, for me, Gentleman Jack, I don't really like it. I prefer still number 7.
So I'm about to talk about that.
Okay.
So we're about to talk about that.
Okay, let's go.
So, but since Gentleman Jack is actually a double mellowed version of a Old Number 7, it naturally I thought, after I try this 200 ml bottle, I should try Jack Daniel's Old Number 7. Give homage to the brand.
Wait, you didn't finish that 200 bottle in a one shot?
I didn't finish in one shot.
Okay.
It took me like 2 weeks to finish it.
Okay, fair enough.
So I did pace myself through that one.
Yep.
Thank you for reminding me. Yes, please do not drink 200 ml in one shot.
Exactly. Don't do that.
Yeah, even though it's like 40% ABV, please don't. So basically, I again asked my godmother on her next trip to help me get a duty-free bottle of Old Number 7. Luckily, it comes in a 1 liter bottle. So, that's going to last a while.
Yep.
So, admittedly, when I first tasted it, I thought, ooh, this is definitely rougher than Gentleman Jack. However, personally, Old Number 7 actually has the same flavors than Gentleman Jack, just more bold and more pronounced, hiding these artificial banana and off notes better. And as I'm drinking it and starting to do more research into Old Number 7, I guess it's fortuitous because one of my favorite singers, like a classic American singer named Frankie, or most people know him as Frank Sinatra, Old Number 7 was one of his favorite drinks. He even requested it to be buried with him when he passed on. And so I remember as I was slowly drinking this bottle over the course of 1.5 years, I thought it was rather enjoyable.
Yeah.
And you know why drink it alone? Because at that time I didn't have a whiskey community.
Oh.
And as I'm drinking this over 1.5 years, it led to me craving more flavors and more new notes. Because 1.5 years drinking the same whiskey, I think it gets pretty boring after a while. So that's when I decided to revisit Johnny Walker Black Label. So you can see that, you know, the whiskey journey, as a lot of people ask, is it instantaneous? Is it long? I guess it depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
But for me, definitely it was a long and arduous journey.
Yeah.
So yes, we go to Johnny Walker because that's the next thing that I know.
Johnny Walker Black is the classic, and then, I mean, everybody just to start with that, and then they go try all the way other stuffs, and then coming back to the Johnny Walker Black because it's cheap and good. Still,
Not the red.
no, what are you talking about? Black or green is the.
I would agree. I would agree. So when I decided to revisit Johnny Walker Black Label H12, because now they within the recent years of the whiskey journey, before when I started, they only had Johnny Walker Black Label H12. Then a year after this, they released Double Black, which is non-age statement whiskey with more peated profiles. So I'm digressing over here, but basically, I asked my godmother to help me get a small bottle of 200 ml and a 1 liter. Why 200 ml? In case I don't like the 1 liter, I can just give it away.
Yep.
So, suffice to say, when I first tried it again, I really braced myself for this childhood trauma that it had given me, but was pleasantly surprised that it didn't, and instead gave me a very, very new perspective on whiskey. Because what I used to think of whiskey, banana notes, turpentine notes, then the toasted marshmallow notes. But this whiskey instead was surprisingly warm, rounded, and what I had disliked as a kid had suddenly become a lovely, peaty smokiness at the end, which with a saline minerality, a little bit of this TCP iodine, aniseed, you know, at the end of the palate, creating a very, very long and ruminating finish.
Yeah, basically yourself also matured enough for the drinking this good stuff. Yeah.
So in fact, I actually liked this blend so much that I started to do more research about it, and I discovered that it contained about 40 different malt and grain whiskies.
40? I didn't know
40,
that.
yeah. I know that Johnny Walker, some of their blends have 100 plus, but for the classic Black Label, it's about 40 whiskies. Yeah.
Wow.
And so through this, you know, as I was enjoying this 200 ml bottle and later opened the 1 liter bottle and reading, I discovered that, this is a blended whiskey. And what a blend is basically a mixture of grain whiskies predominantly because it's cheaper with single malts added for flavor and to add character to that blend. So I like to describe it in this very beautifully descriptive way, that the grain whiskies act like a canvas. Whilst it still contains flavor, it's more like a neutral spirit,
flavor,
right? More neutral flavor, doesn't give as much excitement. And your artist is the blender or the master blender. Now, I've heard this time and time again at whiskey events. Some people say distillery manager, master distiller, master blender. Who do we respect the most? Now, the distillery manager says me. The master distiller says me. The master blender just says, if you like my product, that's great. You know, like I did a lot of R&D and a lot of development to create this blend. So the skill actually is in blending. And a master distiller also is a type of blender because what people don't know, and I will talk about in a bit, is that single malts are actually a blend of different casks within the same distillery,
Yep.
made from malted barley.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's also a skill too. So the person who likes the most recognition, the distillery manager, actually, unfortunately, should have the least recognition because they are basically the manager of the distillery, ensuring that numbers are being created, and they do have a very important role as distillery manager to sign off on quality and to ensure that what's reaching consumers is of adequate quality to represent the distillery. So, basically, talking about Master Blender, they are the artists. They have
Yeah, I
freedom
agree.
to create a nice painting with this. So your canvas is your grain whiskies, your paints and your pigments are your different single malts, which have different types of character. And so from there, I actually started to seek other blended whiskies with more of a smoky profile, because that's what I started to enjoy.
Yep.
So why do I say smoky profile? Because actually at this moment in time, I didn't even know what was peat. And so I came across a very humble drink that you can find in the grocery shop and most young people's start of drinking, Teacher's Highland Cream. And I really love this blend. Until today, I still do.
Oh, really? I never tried the Teachers.
Oh, you should. Yeah,
Really?
you should definitely
Really?
try it. And but maybe maybe now that you've tried so many fantastic whiskey, Teachers might not hit the same.
I mean, yes, but still, sometimes I'm looking for Jack Daniel number 7, and then Johnny Walker Black.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Classics for a
maybe,
reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, Teacher's Highland Cream. I tasted it. I love this stuff.
Ah.
Besides the fact that it has this bunny sensation because, you know, perhaps it hasn't been mellowed out enough with the green whiskies. It actually had high proportions of a peated malt, which I later found out was Ardmore. So Ardmore has a large fingerprint in this blend of Teacher's Highland Cream. And the blend actually had a different type of peat profile than the Johnny Walker. Was Johnny Walker's peat profile was more coastal, saline,
Yeah.
TCP iodine notes.
Yeah.
Because now we know that a large part
from
is
the-
actually
yeah.
Kaila
Kalila. Yeah.
from Isla.
Yeah.
For Ardmore, it's actually a Highland style of peat. So it actually offered a more rustic bonfire and blazing
Yeah.
hay smoke with a earthy profile. So from there, you know, what's the next step after blends? Any guesses?
Single malt.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
move on to finding out about what, you know, artist palette, unique, individualistic profiles. Let's go towards a single malt. So I decided to read again and watch whiskey videos on YouTube. And I learned that blends, though they have a more balanced, consistent flavor profile, meant to create uniformity and be more pleasing for the mass global market. And still, until today, a large percentage of the market, 90% of whiskey drank is still blends.
Blend. Yes.
So only 10% of drinkers are drinking single malt.
I know is the blend is the big portion, but I didn't know is a exact percentage.
Yeah, it's estimated between 87 to 90. So still
That's
the
huge
predominant
number.
Yeah.
I mean, not huge, but it's a literally the majority of
It's
that.
still the major part of the whiskey industry. So actually 10% is still quite small in terms of single malt. There's still a small proportion of the whiskey industry. So as I said, you know, my whiskey journey was all about finding flavors, and I decided to go from blends to single malts, which are more individualistic, distinct, unique, characterful, and representing a distillery style.
Yeah.
So like what we have now is representing Bruichladdich.
Yeah.
So I would say that through my 9 years of drinking whiskey in my whiskey journey, I don't sneer at blends because blends actually, I've tried some exceptionally beautiful blends. In fact, one of my top 2 whiskeys that I still tier is a blended Tasmanian whiskey called Heartwood with Witch's Cauldron, which was only a few hundred bottles were produced, all Tasmanian blended whiskey.
Wow.
Yeah, independently created by a man, one of Bill Lark's friends. He bought whiskies from Hellier's Road, Sullivan's Cove, Lark, and blended them together. Super beautiful.
Wow.
And unfortunately, we can't get them in Singapore because they sell out in Tasmania even before it comes out of the island. So that's something I'm trying to get here, but unfortunately can't. So I would say that, because people always have this association of blends being very consistent, it's not always the case, and this is something I found out after 9 years. So, but for expediency's sake, because this was my early years of exploration, my idea on blends is that it's just like Coca-Cola. It's very consistent, not much else than that. So, as I was seeking something more unique and flavorful in my whiskey journey, I had my first introduction to single malts on a trip to Bali.
Trip to Bali.
Yeah.
Indonesia.
Yeah. So I was staying at the Como Hotel, Como Shambhala estate during a family trip to the bar. Because I was 18 and I was like, I'm going to go to the bar.
Actually, the Indonesia is still a lot of the,
Yeah.
Even though it's a Muslim country, there actually the alcohol is allowed.
But also, if you think about it,
Yeah.
Bali is one of the few Indonesian areas that is not Muslim majority.
Yeah.
It's Hindu majority.
Oh.
And the Hindus can drink.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's why it was easier to find whiskeys on Bali. And Bali itself also has a large tourist appeal.
Yes.
And so to appeal to a tourist market, you definitely
need it. Yes.
need whiskey.
Yes. I mean, not only whiskey, all kind of the alcohol.
For sure. So at this very nice hotel called Como Shambhala estate, I went to the bar, and not knowing anything about single malts, I just asked the bartender, "Hey, will you mind recommending me a whiskey of single malt?" And the bartender was like, "Sure." And he went and got a bottle of Glenfiddich 12-year-old.
Yep.
Now, I still remember it very well. No one had touched that bottle. It was an unopened bottle of Glenfiddich 12. So he opens out the foil, comes the cork, and you hear the glug, 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 glug of the whiskey being poured into a rocks glass.
Yep.
Yeah, not Glencairn, because it's just a hotel bar that's serving whiskey in what they thought was a proper glass.
Yeah.
A rocks glass. So rocks glass with this single malt for the very first time, and what I noticed was a very stark difference from what I've been trying in blends. For one, the first thing that hit me was the texture and the flavor. So Glenfiddich 12 is silky and rounded with a lot of fruity quality, akin to orchard fruit, so pears, apple quality, and a distinct maltiness. So for the very first time, because it's a single malt, I can start to taste the barley notes. So from there, I was like, oh my goodness, this is really nice. I want to try something a little bit better. And so I asked the bartender again, would you give me another single malt expression very similar to this profile? And so he brought out a Balvenie Double Wood. Now, Balvenie Double Wood is a very interesting expression of whiskey because under David Stewart, he was one of the people who pioneered finishing.
Finishing.
Especially for the whiskey industry. Yeah. Now you find a lot more finishing and it's become like industry standard.
That's
right. But back then, actually, David Stewart, the master
he's the one,
distiller, he was of Balvenie.
Yes.
Unfortunately, now he's very old. Now his his protege has taken over, female distiller. So Double Wood was this finishing. So there's some new characters that I definitely teased out. One is a little bit more of these dried fruit, red fruit notes, and then coming in with the bourbon cask notes of toasted oak, caramel, gentle, orangey notes, which is or citrus notes that are very prominent in Balvenie's profile. So there I was, and nosing this whiskey, which I had never sat in a bar for more than 30 minutes. And this is the first time I sat there. Again, not nosing glass, but a rocks glass with my face stuck in it, sniffing and enjoying these aromas as they developed over 3 hours.
Wow.
Now, guys, please remember that when you leave whiskey out for 3 hours, it oxidizes and it evaporates. So don't keep nosing it for 3 hours. And as you're nosing it for 3 hours,
but you enjoyed your moment, and then it's kind of the not exactly first, but the exploring at the first single malt back then. And then, yeah, it's fair enough to you. Enjoy the 3 hour.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's a bit too long. I mean,
yeah.
if you ask a lot of my bartender friends when I was working at the bar, they're like, Miguel, nosing whiskey, like, it's almost like pornographic. I mean, mind my language, but it's almost the fact that, I'm smelling it, my eyes are closed, trying to tease out these notes. Because for me, actually, whiskeys need and 3 hours is too long, but about 30
Obviously,
minutes,
yeah.
about 30 minutes of time to actually show the full spectrum of nosing profile. So, yeah, never mind. I was really enjoying my time there.
Yeah.
Nosing it for 3 hours, sitting
That's
on
nice,
a hard stool. And during the course of this evening, I actually found my passion for whiskey.
Oh.
Now, as though by serendipity or like a full circle moment, I realized that one of my first times actually seeing a whiskey bottle was in fact in a Balvenie bottle. And it was depicted in this movie called The Day After Tomorrow, produced in 2004. So the movie The Day After Tomorrow is a cult movie. Some people say it's very bad. Some people say it's very good.
Wow,
I sit there in the middle thinking that as a kid, I really enjoyed the movie.
Okay.
So the movie actually depicts how anthropogenic forces or how humankind has caused so much pollution and so much greenhouse gases that it causes the melting of Arctic ice that disrupts the North Atlantic ocean currents. Now, ocean currents, in real life, right, they do actually impact climates and microclimates of regions. So in this movie, though it's a sci-fi movie, it causes a domino effect leading to a series of extreme weather climatic changes, ushering a rapid climate cooling phase that leads to a new ice age. Now, in the movie, there is this scene where a character named Professor Terry Rapson, who is an oceanographer. Now, as a kid, I really wanted to be an oceanographer, so I looked up to Professor Terry Rapson.
Wow.
And he was he's from a Scottish man, and he was in the Headlands Centre, a research station based in Scotland, with his team of 2 other research fellows, left stranded by the storm. With no escape from their research station, the electrical generator running low on fuel, one of his research associates suggests that they pour this beautiful bottle of Balvenie Double Wood into the generator to prolong the heat so that they can survive a little bit longer.
Oh.
Now, Professor Rapson looks at him almost offended in his look. Are you mad? That's a 12-year-old Scotch.
I mean, yeah.
Right?
But it's for the survival.
Right, for survival. But instead of pouring this beautiful Balvenie into the generator, like he thought it would be a big waste, he opens a bookcase and reviews 3 glasses. So with these 3 glasses, they actually make a final toast, knowing that the end is near. And this scene is so profound to me because it always reminds me that the true warmth of whiskey actually it's not just from the drink itself, but the camaraderie, the company, the friendships that are formed over the shared love and passion for whiskey. And in my line of work, not just in the whiskey side, but in zoology side, I have actually met many connections and friends over whiskey, including the former director of the Singapore Botanical Gardens, who told me how the Botanical Gardens got its UNESCO certification over a glass of Lefroy PX cask, which is a duty-free travelers exclusive. So that was something that epiphany, and it's just serendipity that you bond over a glass at a bar. So it was a random stranger, and then I just started to talk about the whiskey, and then that's how we bonded together. So the connection within whiskey people like you and I and everyone who's watching the blog, and the podcast, is that somehow we find it instantaneous contagious and exciting. In fact, this is how I met you,
Yep.
right, at an event,
Yep.
and how we are tonight sitting down on this very comfortable sofa, talking our way through whiskey and our
Yeah.
whiskey journeys,
Yep.
and figuring out what we like.
Mm.
And so, with that is how I've ended up in this whiskey journey.
That's beautiful story. Yeah. It's, I think, okay, to be honest, I just expected that your excuse, okay, I just started drinking maybe, okay, 18 or 21. I just sip it, one of that, maybe Johnny Walker or whatever, because everybody start like that.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I just tried at maybe left way, oh, I love this, something like that. But it's like a really fascinating story behind, and then a lot of things actually you've been through it since from the 9-year-old.
Yeah, don't do that. Definitely don't do that at 9 years old. Okay, I
mean,
was a cheeky boy.
pretty much at the listeners will be pretty much at the old old enough.
I mean, if that's the
Although,
case for you listeners listening
Yeah.
out there,
Mm.
that you started your journey young,
Yeah.
not legally, I feel less embarrassed about it.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for sharing your whole journey. Actually, I did really enjoy that your experimental, especially with your friend,
Yeah.
and then you sacrifice yourself, and then sharing your stories. It was quite fun, and then as a I'm not saying I'm science geek, but I really enjoy that the science documentary and then the YouTube videos, and then it's really new things for me. A lot of the new information coming up from your mouth and then your brain, your heart. It's really beautiful, man. Yeah,
Thank you, man.
Thanks,
I
thanks,
appreciate
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I feel that. How did you hold this passion for long? I mean, definitely you have talked this. Have you ever chance to talk about these kind of things before, or any other event, or any of your masterclass? Because you do that in your masterclass as well.
Yeah. So normally during my masterclasses, when people ask me, so how do you get into your whiskey journey? I give them a very, very short version. So this is why I had to write things out, because if
That's
I
why.
were to continue talking, it'd be too much. So
Yes.
this is I'm sorry to the listeners who think this is very long. It's actually a very
You know how
concise
long
version.
we recorded? It's all 1.5 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Just one segment. It took almost 1.5, but it's cool. Yeah, let's go on.
Yeah.
And then that's why I feel like you hold it this kind of a passion to talk and to share your story in a certain channel. So I'm glad I have you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm glad I give you the chance to release your passion and then everything, your story and then your knowledge here.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I mean, what you said, masterclasses, I don't think most people want to go to a masterclass and hear the story of how Miguel ended up with the whiskey journey. No, because this podcast is
Yeah.
extra special,
Yeah.
especially for the listeners out there. I think what Rio is doing is very unique, because what he's trying to find is the unique stories of how people came to
Yeah,
whiskeys.
yeah,
And yes, as I mentioned, some people tasted a whiskey, boom, I'm into the whiskey interest. But for some of us, it actually took a much longer journey to find out how we got to this passion in whiskey.
yeah. So let's move to the next topic. So okay, you really enjoy that mainly you enjoy that whiskey, but you enjoy that quite a few drinks like a rum, you said. And then okay, what kind of the drink are you into these days? Maybe for whiskey, kind of the typical question. What
Yeah.
kind of the flavor note you are looking for, or what kind of the cask you are into these days, or any distillery you like?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that you mentioned that is quite interesting is, what am I interested in now? Because 9 years of tasting whiskeys, your palate will evolve through time.
That's coincident. You just tried at the Johnny Walker Black 20 years, at 9 years.
12, yeah. 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, go on, please.
So yeah, I mean, I think that was one thing that surprised me as well. 9 years old, tasted it, fiery water and ashy, disgusting, cannot even
Yeah.
stand it. Then after that, at 18, so 9 years later, you try it again and you really, really love this whiskey. So this is something that I think is very interesting because, for me, actually, one thing that I wanted to talk about is how I got into this, through a bottle of whiskey that eventually led to this passion.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind,
yeah. Go, please,
yeah.
please.
So, in terms of a very, very special bottle, we all have very, very special bottles through our whiskey journey.
Yes.
And as I previously mentioned, these bottles were, along this path of whiskey journey, the Jack Daniels, which introduced me to whiskey, Johnny Walker, which cemented my love for Scotch whiskey, and the Balvenie Double Wood, which was a whiskey that actually ignited my love for single malts. However, if I were to pinpoint a definitive point or moment in my whiskey journey that converted me from a passionate individual into a true lover of whiskey, where it has become an integral part of my lifestyle, I would say it would have to be the Lagavulin 16.
Classic.
Yeah. So I joke about this with a lot of people who I've met in person, that Diageo, the parent company of Lagavulin, they should be paying me for an advertisement campaign because as far as I'm concerned, my journey to getting to Lagavulin is one of the most romantic stories of how one actually gets to their favorite or say a go-to whiskey. So I like to say it's love at first sip.
Love at first sip. I mean, I understand. I mean, it's hard to not fall in love with that first sip of that the Lagavulin, those the peated and that. But Lagavulin 16, once you drop the water, it opens up more. I feel more citrusy and then an orange peel. That's actually the beauty of that. It is Lagavulin for me.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most common questions that people ask. What is your favorite whiskey? So, I mean, it is actually a very, very difficult thing to say, especially after you've tried such different styles of whiskey. So, at least for me, it is still the whiskey that I go back to. And if you like to hear the story, I will tell it to you.
Yeah, of course.
So I have told you this story before, the last time we met, but in a very, very brief way.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So
reminds me one more time. Please.
So basically, during my academic pursuits in Tasmania, in my second year as a zoology student, I actually joined my professor along with another student as a research assistant for a Tasmanian devil field study. So for those who don't know what a Tasmanian devil is, it's a small black looking animal about the size of a dog. Even though they have a very scary name, they're actually incredibly cute animals. So please go to the night safari and visit. We have Tasmanian devils.
Oh.
Yeah. So we were actually deep in the field amongst the Tarkine, or as the locals or indigenous Aboriginals would call it, Takayana region of northwestern Tasmania. So northwestern Tasmania is known for the cleanest air, cleanest water in the world.
Beautiful.
So we were deep there amongst oak grove forests, having hiked kilometers away from the closest road with our camping equipment and our field gear. Now, just to give you a perspective of Tasmania, for those who have not been to Tassie.
Me?
We haven't been? Okay, you should after I tell you about this. So the area is about 23 degrees Celsius in temperature.
Nice.
With crisp, clean, fresh air, subtly perfumed with the smell of eucalyptus oil and sassafras.
Oh my God.
And as you're walking through, there are views of mosses hanging from the trees and the branches that stretch across the path. And so as you're coming through, you're actually pushing away through views of mosses. And you feel as though you have almost been transported to an elven garden, like in Lord of the Rings. And it's almost very, very ethereal experience. So we decided to step out camp and conduct our field research. And after which, at the end of the long day of field work, we returned back to the camp and settled in for the night. Now, I know in Asian countries, we don't really bond with our professors the same way that other countries would.
Yep.
But in Australia, it is customary and even courteous to be actually asked or offered a drink. So as we sat down on cold, damp logs, huddled by a bonfire for warmth, my professor piped up and asked me, "Hey, Miguel, would you like to have a bevy?" So bevy in Australian slang means a beverage.
Oh, okay.
Usually pertaining to an alcoholic beverage, like a beer or a cooler, like a Bacardi cooler.
All right.
So I replied, "Sure, I would love a beer, but even better than a beer would be a whiskey." I said jokingly, because who's going to bring a bottle of whiskey in the middle of the forest? Like, no
but
way.
It happened, right?
So he looks at me with a very serious expression, and he said, "Wait right there."
Oh.
He then goes back to the tent and rummages around. So, I'm not sure you hear the rummaging now.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. He rummages around the tent, and he pulls out a bottle that is glinting with an olive green hue as he walks back to the campfire. Now, as he comes closer, I see, the label and this oval on top, which everyone knows is a Lagavulin bottle. And he goes towards the two of us seated on the log, me and the other student. "So, have you guys tried this whiskey?" And I replied, "No, I never have." And the other student, also shaking her head, says no.
Yeah.
Then he says, "Well, let me introduce you to this whiskey. It is the whiskey I fell in love with, and I hope that you will enjoy it with me this evening." So in the field, you don't have your Glencairn glass. You don't even have a rocks glass. So what do you use when you're in the field?
Just the paper cup or something?
Yeah, paper cup, right? But then, we're trying to be environmentally friendly, so we don't have paper cups on our trip. We only have the metal cups, but our metal cups were boiling coffee, so we didn't use those. So I actually had to go through my own field pack for clean sample tubes, which are made of hard acrylic, and that were not that was not contaminated with Tasmanian devil swab samples of their poop. Yeah, so one mistake would have been a very risky mistake, don't you think? Lagavulin would taste like shitty devil.
Well, it kind of I can feel there's some connection between the Lagavulin and
the devil, right?
devils, yeah.
So, anyways, I managed to find 3 tubes. I passed one to my colleague, one to my professor, and then he opens up the foil. So, and then
it's a fresh
bottle. Yeah, it has not been touched. And again, he removes the cork, slowly easing it out. Eventually, with that satisfying. And so, with that, he starts to pour it into the sample tubes, and as he's doing so, Lagavulin with this very distinct peaty quality, the smell starts to hit your nose.
Yeah.
So even before I even brought it up to my nose, I was hit with a deeply complex peaty aroma, notes of smoked kippers, cured meats, tarry hemp rope, TCP, iodine, coastal peat, aniseed, sea salt, briny minerality, and driftwood. And then at the back, there was like hints of richness in the form of dried figs and molasses. So
molasses.
Yeah, a little bit sweet. Like it's more of a textural thing.
Sweetness is there.
Yeah. So there were these flavors which I had been searching for through my entire whiskey journey. Things that I've been calling smoky for the longest time. And which now my professor was telling me is called a peated single malt. And at my first sip, as soon as I touched my palate, I was in love. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so different than anything I've tasted. Now, if you compare Balvenie next to a Lagavulin, even with a blindfold or a blind taste testing, it's a night and day. Yeah, it's not even a question of what is what. So when I was tasting this, at first sip, the way it coated my palate, the waves of complexity in line with the nose, dried red fruit, heather, leather, tobacco, and a briny saline coastal peat quality, which finish with a lingering warmth of salinity, bonfires, earthiness. Again, the TCP iodine, very famous for coastal peat, coming through with warm baking spices, aniseed, and in Singapore, a very unique note, henna, that the Indian people put. It's also a very aniseed quality.
Oh.
But every time I drink a Lagavulin, I always get this aniseed quality.
Oh.
And so it was through this that as I imbibe this whiskey, it started to evolve on the palate. Because of such a smoky or peaty quality to it, it actually lasts a very, very long time on the palate compared to a unpeated malt. So with drinking this whiskey underneath the stars and surrounded by darkness, because the only light that was there was what was coming from the bonfire.
Oh.
And so it was a very full and holistic, visceral experience, especially given the moment and locality. And it's filled with the smoke of the crackling bonfire that was in front of me. And around us, we can hear the sounds of animals calling. And, sorry, the headphones coming off. And also accompanied with the sounds of conversations that we were having, laughter by the fire. It was truly the perfect situation and atmosphere for a Lagavulin 16 to shine. Now, as we mentioned, right, peated whiskies can be a very divisive point in a person's whiskey journey. Either you love it or you hate it. There's not really an in-between for it. So for the other student, she tasted it and she spat it out.
Oh.
Which honestly offended my professor, but he was like, I get it, not everyone likes this.
Yep, it's not for all.
But, for me and the professor, we enjoyed it so much that as we were pouring more drams of this and sipping it together, the level of the whiskey started to go down and we got more tipsy. So what do you do as tipsy academics?
Oh.
You don't go and make a fool of yourself. You start coming up with funny adjectives to describe what we were tasting. He went mothers of milk. I went nectar of the gods. He goes pirates bath water. I go sea lions elixir. He goes coastal cabin fever tonic. And I go, captain's beard muff or whatever it is as we get more tipsy and more tipsy. Yeah.
That is a fun moment.
So it's definitely fun.
Yeah.
And we had such a good time that for the very first time in my life, we finished a bottle between the two of us with no regrets.
Wow.
The regrets only came the next day when we had to continue the field research. But as soon as we completed the field work and we headed back to town, cleaned up, then the very next day, I went to the bottle shop.
You bought right away.
The liquor shop called Dan Murphy's and purchased a bottle of Lagavulin 16, which kept me company for the rest of my studies there.
Wow.
So whenever someone asks me, hey Miguel, what is your favorite whiskey? I always reply, as someone who has the privilege of sampling many whiskeys in my 9 years, you ask a very, very difficult question.
Yeah.
But if I had the go-to whiskey, a whiskey that wouldn't let me down, that I would like to turn into at the end of the night, it almost sounds romantic, like talking about a wife. It would, and if I wasn't reviewing any other whiskeys, without a second thought, it would be a Lagavulin 16. And this is because every time I drink a Lagavulin 16, I am transported back to this moment in time.
Yeah.
That's the remarkable thing about whiskey's scents and flavors. The power of whiskey is actually to evoke memories and reawaken emotions. It is why I truly believe that the best whiskeys are actually those enjoyed in good company. Because much like a record player, whenever you return to a particular whiskey, it plays back those memories, bringing that vividly
Yeah,
to
that's
life
true.
again. So imagine if I drank it with my like ex-girlfriend. I think it would be a very bad experience unless it was a good memory.
Why is the ex-girlfriend need to become a drink?
I don't know. I'm just using a analogy,
just
you know.
kidding.
So if you have a
Yeah.
bad memory associated
Yeah.
with something and you taste it, it'll
Yeah,
bring
true.
that back.
Because the drink is not just okay. We drink, we enjoy the flavor of the whiskey. Also, as a whiskey enthusiast or a whiskey geek, and just a whiskey lover, we just enjoy that the flavor. We enjoy that the alcohol volume. We enjoy that the nose palette through the journey. But also at the same time, I love that drinking alone at home. Just you when you come into my room, actually playing the music. Actually, I really love that. But I don't really turn on the light when I drink alone. But also at the same time, drink together and then the literally company and then those that the memory and then the creating that the certain mood and then the memory with the whoever we enjoy that the drink is actually the fascinating. Actually, that is a beautiful moment.
Yes.
So that's why we also drink. I think that is one of the reasons we drink as well.
So I mean, as cliche as it sounds,
Yeah.
arguably the best whiskeys are always drank in good company.
Yeah.
I think I can drink a Johnny Walker Black in your company, but if I had to drink maybe let's just say a Macallan 50-year-old, whilst that would take the curb off a terrible situation, if something happened to say my pet whilst I was drinking a Macallan 50, I don't think the Macallan 50 would be a very good whiskey at that point in time. So yeah.
Yeah, your drinking partner.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Miguel being a little bit over dramatic at the moment. Yeah.
But it's quite fun though. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, to come back to what you were saying, because I thought it would be appropriate for me to share this story before I tell you how my taste has evolved through time. Basically, you know, from as you can ascertain from my love for Lagavulin 16, I still have a bias and penchant towards peated malts. And so, in particular, for peated malts from Isla and Campbelltown, because these two locations, if you look at the geology and the soil type there, the peat is distinctly coastal. So it was submerged under sea for a period of time before Campbelltown came out of the water, and same then Isla as well. So because of that, actually, the peat, and speaking of terroir in whiskey, I believe that terroir really influences peat. And because of this, this is why I love coastal peats, because they have this saline and TCP iodine note. Hospital or burning hospital that some people like to say. But being a whiskey lover through and through, actually I do not discriminate against any other whiskeys. There may be whiskeys that are not for me. As you said, you know, there are, I do not believe that there are bad whiskeys.
Whiskey, no.
I believe there are inferior quality whiskeys, but somehow there will be a person who likes that flavor. So we can't really judge when it comes to whiskey in that sense. So in terms of that, I think using the 9-year-old to 18-year-old trying Johnny Walker 12 again, that's a very good example of how palates evolve. And so I started with unpeated malts, became peated malts. Now I love them both alike. And, you know, when you enjoy single malts I think have a reputation for being like the best in whiskey. But the truth is, actually, that's not the case all the time. There are so many different types of whiskeys. You have single malt, single grains, pot still whiskeys, which are mixture of different, you know, malted barley and unmalted barley. And you also have things like blended malts and blended whiskey. So the world is your oyster when it comes to whiskey. There's so much out there. I think even in your lifetime or my lifetime combined, it is impossible to try all the whiskeys. Because as we try whiskeys, there's always going to be a new one produced. So whenever someone tells me, oh my gosh, this vintage whiskey, there's nothing left. Yes, it is a sad moment for every whiskey lover. However, I would say, look on the bright side. there'll always be more whiskeys to come. And then they look at me, but there'll never be a whiskey like this. And I'm like, there'll be other whiskeys.
Yeah, there'll be other whiskeys. Yes.
And I think, again, whiskey's quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. There will be makers out there who will produce very different, perhaps, or maybe following this tradition and scope of old vintage style whiskeys. But we'll never know until we try them after maturation, right? So I also don't discern types of whiskeys, neither from where they come from. So in fact, as I was saying, in the Singapore whiskey scene, a lot of people who talk to me, I always talk about Tasmanian whiskey. Yeah, I think some of you might be a bit annoyed about my spiel on Tasmanian whiskey, but
why not? Why not? I mean, basically, that is the place you learn that, and you experience that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So for me, because I lived in Tasmania for 6 years, there is a part of me or chapter in my life that is very, very closely linked to Tasmanian culture, the distilling and the culture of this heart-shaped region. So Tasmania literally has my heart. But you see, Tasmania is a very, very small region and produces very little whiskey compared to the big giants like Scotland, America, Japan. So we don't hear much about them, but keep a lookout. In the last 1.5 years, Tasmanian whiskey has been appearing on many more bar shelves and F&B locations. So if you do have the opportunity to try, guys, and those listening to the Whiskey Vibe, please have a try of a new style of whiskey. Yes, maybe a bit different than Scottish whiskey, but Tasmanian whiskey through and through is still built on the tradition and heritage of Scotland.
Yeah, actually, I still haven't get many chance to try even Australian whiskey, except a few, especially the Tasmanian whiskies. So I really want to explore, but basically the accessibility in here is not really great.
So the good news is that they're trying to grow it here. So just to deviate a little bit, recently Lark Distillery, the first Australian whiskey distillery after Prohibition, has produced a new line of whiskies. Now the line doesn't even have a name, but it takes it takes inspiration from elements of Tasmania, fire, ruby port, because that's what they're using in there. They're using tawny as well, like tawny wines, barricks, and also one very new innovation, talking to the master distiller of Lark Distillery. So a lot of people think it's still Bill Lark. No, Bill has retired, but he's still a consultant with Lark Distillery. He's still the father of Lark. He's always be part of it. But his protege, Chris Thompson, quite a younger distiller with a background in rock music. So you're going to see how this influences his whiskey styles and how he creates very unique and, I like to say, robust and punchy whiskeys.
Wow.
But the new line actually has a very unique thing. When I first tasted it, I was like, this is not peat. It is not wood char smoke. It is something altogether different. So when Chris asked me, what do you think is different? I said, there's something smoky in here. I can't put my finger on it. And that's when he divulged to me, and it's something I can share. He used apple wood smoke infused water to cut the whiskey, so to dilute the whiskey before bottling. So applewood has the most neutral wood flavoring that doesn't fight against the whiskey's wine barrel quality. I have to say, this is really contemporary way of the whiskey making, though. For sure.
Yeah.
Because being a new world whiskey, they are allowed to deviate from the rules of the Scotch Whisky Association. So whilst they do follow the traditions and heritage, Tasmania needs to find a unique selling point, and so that's why they are more experimental and resourceful. I would like to say.
There's something similar to happen in Korea. One of the Korean whiskey distillery, Kiwon.
The one over there?
Yes.
And the one that came to Whiskey Life?
Yes. And then they have recently released the red pepper cask.
Gochujang.
Yeah, no, not gochujang.
Oh, oops.
Gochujang is the paste. The red pepper is dried chili pepper. They infuse that to water, the cask. inside of the cask, and then they, I think, do some things, and then that they release that the water. So the cask itself will become like the chili pepper infused flavor is going to that. And then when I tried that sample, it was really spicy.
Wow.
It's not, we usually say that the whiskey spiciness is not that kind of the spiciness, because whiskey spiciness is like a cinnamon or no matter what, the clove or something like pepper, those things. But this is really like you can feel that the Korean chili flavor in it. It's really interesting.
Well, I guess next time when Kiwan's here, I'll have to say, hey, let me try a sample of this very unique chili pepper flavor.
I mean, it's already released. I'm gonna bring it when my next trip.
Okay.
So yeah, looking for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to try for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about whiskeys, right? There's traditional whiskey making, but there's also innovations in whiskey, and this is because not just my palate evolving, but a younger demographic of drinkers with a more discerning palate, with more education in drinking, are looking for unique flavors. So besides this, there's a whiskey from Ireland called Curak, and they actually infused it with kombu seaweed to give it a umami finish.
Yeah, I didn't really, to be honest, enjoyed it, but I really respect how they do that.
I say it's unique,
uniqueness is there.
But personally, I say if I want seaweed quality in my whiskey, I rather that they use coastal peat, which already has those seaweedy, kelpy quality notes. So I mean, it is an industry that innovates. Scotch whiskey industry, a lot of people or what things have been set in tradition, oaken casks, these kind of the history of what makes the Scotch Whisky Association rules and laws all come from backgrounds in history. I mean, in the past, actually, they just used whatever barrels they could find because Scotland is land scarce, quite like Singapore. Sorry, not land scarce, resource scarce, quite like Singapore. So they would reuse casks from, smoke kippers. And so, whiskeys back then may have tasted a taint fishy.
What?
Yeah. So they used to store fish in barrels. And so after they finish using and emptying out the fish, they'll rinse out the barrels, rechar it, and then put whiskey into it. So innovative Scots, hey, they don't waste anything.
All right.
A good example is Burns Night, where there's haggis, the national dish. They don't waste anything. Every part of the sheep is used. Which I also surprisingly baffled by how good it tastes with a beautifully paired whiskey.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the fact is, as we have been talking, the whiskey industry and taste have changed.
Yeah.
For myself, open to a lot of different flavors.
Yeah.
But you see, what's happening these days is that industry practices are changing as well to fit the consumers. But do I think they're changing fast enough? I don't think so. So what do I mean by that is that, the OB bottlers, or what we call the original bottlers, or the distilleries bottling whiskies themselves and bringing it out to market, the products are very consistent. So when you expect Lagavulin, nowadays you're getting the same type of profile of Lagavulin. And whilst consistency is great and the big boys are doing a good job, Diageo, Beam Suntory, Pernod Ricard, and still all these companies are actually not owned by Scottish owners. Yeah. The only two major corporations still owned by Scottish owners, Edrington, who owns Macallan Highland Park, and also your William Grant and Sons,
William Grant and
which
Sons,
has a Balvenie and Glenfiddich. So you see, in an ever-changing whiskey industry, we're actually seeing more affordable and higher quality products emerging from independent bottlers, which is in stark contrast to what we would expect from the bigger boys in the industry. Now, why do I think like this has happened? Because, as whiskey lovers ourselves, we are seeking a different thing from what the OBs are doing. While the OBs are diluting their whiskeys so that they can sell a little bit more, which I completely understand, guys. Like, in the industry, you need to make money, otherwise there's no whiskey to be drank.
Yeah.
However, as palates evolve and as we want something a bit stronger and with more flavor, same thing than me. I'm looking for things that that are more strong. So I'm more fond of higher ABVs, cask strength expressions, presented as naturally as possible,
Yep.
with non-chill filtration and no color added. So color added is a big thing.
Yes.
Debate as hard debates go in Scotch whisky industry. This is one of the hardest because the Scotch whisky industry doesn't have rules for addition of caramel E150A.
Yes.
Caramel E150A, for the listeners who are still listening, is a caramel-based colorant made from caramel, so the burning of sugar. Now, if you ever ate caramel popcorn, you might have you'll taste that caramel note. But the whiskey industry, at least the big players in the industry, they do not agree that caramel coloring can be detected by the human palate.
But for me, that is that okay. No matter the truth is, for me, because it's a kind of the faking that the actual things. So it's for me, it's like a kind of the lie. Yeah. So it's like a faking that your customer, your audience. So that's why I don't really prefer chill filtration. I kind of understand. So my bar is quite low then. So I don't mind non-chill filter or chill filtration. Of course, the first thing, I prefer non-chill filter. But the color-wise, I really kind of sensitive because it's not because I can sense it, but because it's kind of the line.
Yeah.
But no matter what, the whiskey is tasting good. Okay, I don't care. It's tasting good.
I mean, taste is king, right? They say.
Taste.
Yeah. So I mean, even for me, like E150 colorant added. Do I think it's the worst thing? Actually, no. But I think it's deceitful. For one, E150 added to your whiskey products in Scotland, at least, they do not have to say on the label. You don't need to say that I've added color to it. And number two, the amount of E150 caramel added to it, there's no law saying how much you can add. So if you ask me, if you have a vetting that's 500 liters and I put 5 ml of caramel coloring to it, honestly, I don't think we have the palate to sense that. So I don't worry as much. Now, whilst you say non-chill filtration is less of a worry for you or concern for you, that is my big no-no.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'll explain why. So why I always look for non-chill filtration over, color added. You add your colors, that's fine. Even my beautiful whiskey Lagavulin has color added for a 16-year-old.
Oh, yes.
That's a bit sad because, 16, you don't need to do anything to it. But chill filtration for me is the bigger travesty in the whiskey industry. Whilst I completely understand why they do it, because as you're transporting whiskey in a cold country, actually, you think about it, ethanol itself is actually, so ethanol, which is your alcohol, actually dissolves all of these oils or congeners. So congeners are what gives whiskey flavor. While the name congener sounds very scary, it's just a chemical name for the compounds that give whiskey your flavor. Yeah, so lovely congeners in Bruichladdich. So when you move whiskey from a warmer climate to a colder climate, what can happen is precipitation of these congeners coming out of solution, long chains of fatty acids, which create a cloudy effect to your whiskey. So I'm not sure if your whiskey has clouded a little bit. Yeah, it has. So normally when whiskeys are bottled below 46 ABV, the precipitation of cloudiness from non-chill filtration whiskeys will come out. But you see, the problem for me is not the chill filtration, it's whiskey education or drinks education. For the reason why the industry does chill filtration is that they strip out all of these fatty acids. Now, when you enjoy a piece of meat, right, you want a bit of fat on your meat. Otherwise, there's no flavor.
Yeah, that's why we love pork belly.
Yeah.
And then, a AAA Wagyu or
Yeah,
something.
because fat
of fat
brings flavor.
Yeah.
So when you chill filter, you actually cool down the whiskey close to 0 degrees, and you mechanically remove it using a fine filter. Now, when you remove all these fats, what happens? You get a less full-flavored whiskey, but also you change the texture. So this is something that I disagree with. But as a bartender would tell you, or if you have bartending experience, when you shake a unchill filtered whiskey in ice, or when you serve it on ice, what happens is cloudiness. And for a customer who sees that, they think, oh my goodness, something is very wrong with my whiskey. Yeah, but the fact is, this is a natural part of what a whiskey should be. So instead of chill filtration, what I believe that the industry should be doing is educating and saying, if it clouds, it is better, or cloudiness is a sign of quality. So we need to change this perception when it comes to whiskey.
Or release the 46%.
Or 46% and up.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely need that a bit lower ABV. I don't mind, to be honestly, because quite often I drink that the 40% also, like a daily dram, or 43%. So I don't mind. But I mean, as you mentioned, that I think that is a good point, that the different educational way of that. So cloudiness is good quality.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with that. And then also the one of the YouTuber from Scotland, Ralphie.
Yes.
Yeah, he always said 46%.
Yeah.
So it's good quality and the integrity of the whiskey. Always he say that. So I think that is the really good point of that.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at
I'm
it,
convinced.
like what we're drinking tonight, which is the Bruichladdich 18. Bruichladdich, if you look at most of their bottles, they are never below 46.
No.
Because Bruichladdich doesn't do the chill filtration. So to keep the integrity of the whiskey and to keep it from clouding, they allow the ABV to be higher.
Yeah.
That's something I appreciate about Bruichladdich. So thank you, Bruichladdich. Thanks, Abby and everyone there.
Happy.
But the flavors of these whiskeys shine through and look good when you just increase the ABV a little bit more. So this is something that the big industry, I think they have lost touch with that, and they have watered down the whiskey in order to sell more. Yeah. Okay. So as I was saying, nowadays you actually find more of this type of whiskey, or whiskey as it naturally should be, from your independent bottlers.
Yeah.
So independent bottlers in Singapore, like TSC, so the single cask, TSC, Animal Spirits,
another big player.
Yeah. And then I know that Interco also brings in IBs from outside, like Blackadder.
Yes.
But we always say support local, right? Without a local industry, we don't have much to be proud of. But thank you to TSC and Animal Spirits for bringing IBs to Singapore and getting them more popular. Yeah. And so tastes have changed. I see more, at least for me, nowadays I'm actually drinking more IBs. Collecting wise, not so much, but I'll explain later. Yeah. But drinking wise, IBs. Yeah. Why? Because as I said, as a 26-year-old starting life and starting to earn your own money, whiskey is expensive. Yeah. And so for equivalent aged mature whiskey from an OB, you could maybe buy 1.5 IBs. So you get better value from an IB, and higher ABV, which means that you have more whiskey per bottle. It's like concentrated cordial. Yeah. I give you pre-made Ribena, or I give you a cordial bottle. One is more concentrated, one is diluted. So in my opinion, you can always dilute whiskey, but you can never concentrate whiskey.
Exactly.
So
that's why we always prefer, I mean, not always. We prefer higher ABV because it contains more flavors, it's more bold. And I think somebody say that the percentage of that, the alcohol volume is like a size of the plate, size of the bowl. Yeah. Yeah. It was more bigger size, more bigger alcohol volume, more flavors. That's why we love it. And as you mentioned, we can dilute if we want. If we want more flavor, more experience. So that's why I think higher ABV. I think that we also these days slightly more leaning into that the independent bottle. Yeah. It's because it's more different from that the OB bottles, so it's more experimental, and then basically more good quality, more value.
Definitely. So, I mean, when you increase ABV and talking about the science of it, as we talk about fatty acids, which actually are
more
incorporated into the ethanol, because ethanol actually dissolves fatty acids. So when you have a higher ABV, you actually incorporate more of these congeners and fatty acids, which brings your flavors. This is also why, they say when you put a bit of water, it blossoms, because when you put water into your ethanol or your high ABV spirit, it splits the ethanol from the fatty acids and congeners. So it actually creates a chemical reaction which physically splits the two. Now, you keep hearing chemical reaction. The reality of it is it's not chemical reaction. It is actually a physical reaction.
What?
Yes, because fatty acids are dissolved, right? There's still small molecules inside. But when you add water into it and you see, the murmuration in the glass as it's reacting or mixing with the whiskey, what is actually happening is actually a physical split of the ethanol from the fatty acids. So the fatty acids are rising to the top because they are less dense. Ethanol is more dense, it sinks to the bottom, which is why you get the blossoming effect from adding water into your whiskey. Yeah.
Okay, then, let's dig into a bit of the scientific sentence that physical reaction versus chemical reaction.
Yep.
I mean, then physics, then you just said is a splitting of that, the physically splitting that the fat and then the, what is that?
The fat and ethanol.
Ethanol.
Yeah.
And then if it's like a chemical reaction, then what, then how to say it in English, that the something need to be changed.
There needs to be a reaction. You see, a reaction is when two molecules are trading electrons. Forgive me, any chemistry majors out there. I'm not a chemist by training. I'm a biologist, but from my understanding, basically, chemical reactions, there's an actual reaction happening between the molecules. Physical reaction means that it's actually a mixture that splits. So when you add the water in, it's just causing the two densities to separate. Water sits in the middle, oils come to the top, like the fatty oils, and then ethanol below.
I think, I'm kind of understand, but I can't understand 100%. But yes.
Okay. If I really want to know the why, let me explain.
No. I think
so,
we can do it let's do it in this another session.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think this is kind of the new information, really quite fun. I mean, for me, it's like the dropping the water is not chemical reaction, but physical reaction.
Yeah, because oils, you see that they don't mix with water because they're actually hydrophobic. They are charged particles, so they are repelling each other. So in a way, when you put water inside, it causes them to split by repellent forces of the electrical charges in the molecules.
Oh, that's so fun. Oh my God,
so we won't go into that much detail because I'm sure the chemists there are looking at me and saying, my goodness.
You are wrong.
maybe I'm wrong, maybe you're right, but do correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, I do not know everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as you said, that's one thing that we find in independent bottlers, the diversity, the spectrum of flavors, because they're able to do maturation at different maturation sites, use different type of casks, use different sizes of casks, and at the same time, as independent, if they want to store the whiskey longer for maturation, they can, and if they decide that it's ready, they can bottle it. Now, with the bigger industry, there's pressures, from consumers, and also pressures to create a new expression to keep the market interested in products. So there's more of this challenge towards how do we earn money without influencing quality too much. I say it in a very careful manner.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that the challenge that the whiskey industry faces today is that where there's money, there's whiskey.
Yep.
And vice versa. And so for an industry that is growing, especially after the 1980s whiskey lock, where a lot of distilleries shut down, they were trying to establish themselves and keep a more stable economic climate for the whiskey industry. So the thing is where we find prices continue increasing whilst the quality is becoming let's say different. Let's say different, 'cause I don't want to say bad, but different. And somehow as prices go up, the quality
Yeah.
doesn't really follow suit these days.
No.
However, in IBs, you tend to see that you're getting quality for the money that you pay. So why is this the case? I mean, many of Scotland's distilleries, for instance, they are
Yeah.
owned by transnational, multinational corporations, with only a handful of Scottish distilleries, which I mentioned, Edrington and William Grant and Sons. So even with these two who are owned by Scottish-owned owners, and yes, they have a little bit more autonomy to decide. The fact is, it's very tempting to capitalize on the current
Yeah.
whiskey boom. It's what we saw with Japan, right? Maybe 2 years ago during COVID-19, Japanese Yamazaki, using Yamazaki as a litmus or a reference, the prices were sky high.
Yep.
I mean, $400 for a bottle, but
Yeah.
now you can find Yamazaki maybe right under the $300 benchmark. So is it to say that whiskey is getting more expensive? No, I believe that, prices are starting to stabilize in the industry because when there's no buying, people are not going to go after that. I mean, if you think about it, right, whiskey itself is not a very expensive product. It's made of barley, which actually is very cheap, water, which is quite plentiful and
Pretty much free.
pretty much free,
Yeah.
and also yeast, which is also
Yeah.
practically free. You can use yeast from natural yeast,
Natural,
or
yeah.
even a little chunk of yeast can grow inside your fermentation vessel, whether it's a washback or whether it's your a fermentation tank. So most of the production of whiskey is pretty much free, except for storing in warehouses
Yes.
and your
And then-
casks.
yes.
So that's where the cost comes in,
And then time.
and time.
Yes.
Now, the time part, yeah, because of storing and with storage is space, and with space that's
Yeah.
cost. But time also is practically free. It's not a tangible thing.
Well, I can't agree with. I mean, time is money, though.
Yeah, okay,
I mean, yes.
fair enough. Time is money. I understand. So
But I got your point.
you get my point.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
time itself is not a tangible asset.
Yeah.
It's actually what we have given a value to. And so if you think about it, historically the whiskey industry has experienced many peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
Example, early taxation, when
Yeah.
taxation first came to whiskey in the 1500s, and 1600s.
Yeah.
Then illicit distillation happened, so prices were much lower because no one's paying the taxes. Then World War One, World War
World
Two,
War II,
and prohibition caused unrest, and then periods of overproduction,
Yeah.
which led to the whiskey lock of the 1980s, 70s, 80s. And so this, what we're currently seeing is a speculative high that's, running a little bit drier and stabilizing. But my belief about whiskey is actually, I'm not sure if you might agree with me, but a lot of the prices of whiskey is based on marketing and perceived value.
I agree. This one is hard to not agree, actually. I mean, basically, this industry, although they're producing, basically, this is the business. I mean, they produce that is some art piece, but still, it's business. It's business goods, and we are consuming the business goods. So it's not, even though this, not only that whiskey, but the art scene. Because I'm designer, so pretty much I'm into the art scene. Art also kind of the production is like a Jeff Koons or the artist, famous artist.
Yeah.
Pretty much that the factory producing. So I think there's kind of the boundary is actually kind of the more murky, and then the merging last time there's a clear boundary.
Yeah.
But these days actually no.
Yeah.
So I think yes, pretty much that the old these kind of the new religious or producing the bottle basically is yes there is just some artisan or there's a spirit there, but basically business.
Yeah.
Right?
Your packaging,
Yes.
very beautiful packaging.
Yes. And then adding color is basically also the marketing.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when people, for those who are not as educated about whiskey, when they look at color, they think, color.
Even me.
Darker is better, more flavorful.
Even me, I know that. I know. But when I'm looking at the darker color, oh, wow, the color.
Yeah.
It just came out naturally. So,
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
like when I see a dark colored whiskey from what I know is non-color added, I can't help but go,
yes.
wow, look at this beautiful
yes,
color.
Exactly.
But in my master classes, I keep telling my guests or customers and clients, color is not everything in whiskey. In
Yeah.
fact, it's one of those things we look at and acknowledge, but we don't really, don't think too much about it. So while I review whiskeys, I write the color. I won't put it as a most important factor when it comes to whiskey reviewing. So, I mean, as you said, it's a luxury good. Whiskey has become luxury. But then what's interesting to see is that, within the last 4 years alone, the global whiskey industry, spirits industry, drinks industry actually has reportedly lost an estimated $830 billion US. And
I can't even imagine that. How big is this money? Oh my God.
that's a lot of money.
yeah,
You know?
of course.
Yeah. So $830 billion accumulated within all these industries is immense. And again, this is because of evolving palate. So not just about my palate, but also on the grander scheme of things,
Yeah.
the wider customer base. Yeah. See, I mean, you say this is really good. This is your palate that has changed through time to be able to appreciate a delicious whiskey. And so, particularly what we're seeing amongst younger generations of drinkers, actually, in fact, I shouldn't say younger generation, my generation,
Yeah, you are younger.
Gen Z generation.
Oh, you are Gen Z.
Are you not Gen Z?
No,
Are you millennial?
no.
No?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay,
Yeah,
no
let's
need
go.
to say.
Yeah.
No need to say. Yeah, let's just say that
forward.
whiskey
Yes.
keeps Rio looking young. So let's not speculate about his age. But at least for me as a Gen Z, majority of Gen Zs nowadays are more discerning, as I mentioned, and more educated about what they're drinking.
Yeah.
And also, have you seen the amount of marketing for high rocks and like marathons and triathlons? The scene has gone towards health and wellness.
Yeah.
And so more people are choosing sobriety over, drinking. Now, if you ask me, is sobriety very good? I think being sober is good for your health. However, like all things in life, we take an inherent risk. And without whiskey in your life, or without something to bring you some sense of joy or excitement, life can become like a dress rehearsal, very dreary.
I
So
agree.
we should be enjoying things,
Yeah.
but again, like we say, in balance.
Yeah.
Never to
Balance.
indulge too much.
Drink responsibly. I mean, not only the whiskey, whatever you like, it could be the toxic. Okay. It could be the pork belly. Okay, I like the really pork belly.
Yeah.
But if you keep eating that, it's going to ruin your body.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I love chicken rice in here. I can eat every day, but I can't eat every day because of high cholesterol.
For sure.
Yes. So basically, the balance.
Yeah, of course, everything balanced.
Yes.
I mean, even you look at things like those people that we think are very healthy,
Yeah.
bodybuilders, for example. In fact, they're one of the most unhealthy body
Yeah.
types because of not just mental health, but also,
Yes.
mental health in body dysmorphia, but also it takes a big strain on the health. So doing over exercise and over eating and
Everything
over
over,
hydration, there's no good amount if you're drinking or
Yeah.
doing too much of something. So
Yeah.
everything in balance. So,
And then most importantly, you know what? What balance is important? Bank account balance.
yes, I heavily agree with you on that. Definitely, Rio. Yeah. I mean, without a healthy bank account, there's no whiskey to be found and no activities to be
Yeah.
doing. That's
Basically,
very
in
true.
Singapore, even the cheapest bottle, I mean, the decent single malt bottle is about $100 or
Yeah.
$90. So then, if we're looking for that, the decent one is already $200 or something like that. So if we buy that, the one bottle per month is already It's
Yeah.
about already over $1,000.
That's the thing. I mean, whiskey adds up, especially in Singapore. I remembered at Whisky Live having the privilege and honor
it
of
was awesome.
meeting many international guests coming in
Yes.
from around the world, from Dubai,
Yeah.
from France, from Australia,
Yep.
all just to be at Whisky Live to
Yeah.
try these amazing expressions and some very, very rare
Yes.
and limited bottles on display.
Yes.
However, you see, whenever they came here, the one thing that they all told me was, my goodness, whiskey in Singapore is expensive.
Yes.
And so this is because of taxation laws, because our tobacco and liquor taxation here is very, very high. But, you know, that's something that I think is interesting. I do wish it was cheaper, but perhaps in this current economic recession, we might find prices of whiskey a little bit lower. So I am optimistic that prices will be lower, but at the same time, there's a fine balance. If no one is buying whiskey, it means that we will get another whiskey lock. We will lose distilleries. Distilleries like 2 lovely bottles you have there of Waterford, which unfortunately
They closed down.
they closed down.
Yeah.
So there is a balance. Again, money is balanced, quality is balanced, and again, whiskey drinking balanced. And so, yeah, I guess my hope for the future is that the original bottlers, distilleries, master blenders themselves will realize and see the big picture that to many of us, whiskey isn't just a drink. It is something so much more.
Yep.
Yeah.